one book for you today. I literally stopped gardening, threw on a prettier shirt and said, I'm going to tell you about this one because it is a big love for me for this book. So it's Girl in a Pink Dress by Kylie Needham, and that comes to us from Hamish Hamilton. That's Penguin. And, oh, what a gem. One of those compact, I don't know how she did it. It was like one of those magic suitcases. She just folded and got so much into this that it's an absolute treasure trove. So, I mean, a lot of you know that I like that sort of small novel, which is filled with poetics and you know, cleverly folds in a lot of material. That makes it, in my opinion, one of the very best choices for a book club. That and what Needham is talking about in this one. What a beautiful, beautiful cover. Now, we're in, and this is a debut novel, right? So we're in the territory of books, but the sort of the theme that has been covered in books like Emily Beato's The Strays or Charlotte Mendelssohn's The Exhibitionist. So we're talking about women who have to make themselves very small because they are themselves either the partners of wife to an artist, and they themselves are artists. So we're doing this dynamic of two artistic people who are drawn together because of their shared passion, but you know, this town ain't big enough for the both of us kind of feel. And one of the things I loved about this is how Needham, what she does with that. It raises an awful lot of questions and lots of things to start about. So we have the book's in 5 parts, and we sort of open with Frances, who is our main protagonist, and she's come to an exhibition given by her former lover in some big Sydney gallery, and you can sense her discomfort a little bit, but she wants to go and see it. And in it, she finds a portrait which Clem, her lover, had portrait he had done of her in 20 years ago when they were a couple or an item. And it's a very important moment, this, I think, in the book, because she's looking at this painting and she understands something about this portrait, or understands what a portrait does. And then she kind of, Needham bookends this. You come back to this idea of portraiture and what it says and what it does, what it expresses, what its story is at the very end of the book. So that's very clever. And this is something that distinguishes this book. It's very, very clever because, as I said, she packs so many themes into this. We start, essentially, it's that sort of relationship between a younger girl, quite naive, and she hooks up with, or is she sort of selected by one of her art tutors, this Clem Hughes, who is the son himself of a well-known portraitist, Albert Hughes, who, but again, we're looking at this line of talent. Is it necessarily going to, how does it come down through a family? How do we deal with the pressure of being the son or the daughter of a very famous painter? And Clem is not just the son of this person. He's painting in a very particular way. He's in a position as a tutor in the school, and our Frances is quite mesmerised by him. And she's into landscape painting. Very unlike him. He's very wild, very dramatic, and a little bit sort of violent with his painting, whereas she's very contained. And there's this, I suppose, this kind of, where he's wild, she's contained, he's the beast, she's the maiden. There are all these sort of little themes going on that you can think about as you read it. Basically, the book goes between their past and their present, so from 20 years ago to this show. Once Frances has become Clem's lover, they move to a small town in New South Wales, in the old gold rush town, which is now abandoned. So there's lots of stuff going on with the landscape. She's very drawn to this, and Clem comes out. They both work on. He's doing an exhibition. She's helping with, detailed filling and preparing canvases or whatever. How useful she is to him. But by the same token, he's guiding her. He's teaching her. He's getting her to loosen up her what might be her control over, or her fear of making mistakes. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship at the start, at least. And from here, I suppose, she then meets his father, who is the very renowned Albert Hughes, who's a portraitist and has done some interiors, which she personally, Frances, loves. And he kind of picks out her. He comes to an opening of the schoolwork with the art college where Clem tutors. And he does kind of notice that she's got something right in what she does. So she's very pleased with this kind of... he's noticing. But later then, when she gets involved with Clem and meets the family as Clem's lover, she is warned by both Albert and his new wife, Freya, that don't expect Clem to stay around, and definitely don't think about, marriage and babies and all of that stuff, because not only basically was she not going to get it from him, but she as an artist could go nowhere once she saddled herself with maternity or marriage duties. And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at, is this possible? From there on, things take their course, and I will leave you to read that. Very, very cleverly done. I think I really liked not just that we're dealing with the male gaze, we're dealing with there's this difference in age, and how, is that okay? Even a tutor-student relationship, how okay is that? We're dealing with what talent is. We're dealing with how you grow as an artist. And Frances, I thought, was an absolutely, we meet her at 40, but we also totally understand this 19-year-old girl who's a little bit impulsive, but she at the same time has this quiet confidence in what she's doing, even though when she's asked, and I love this, when she's asked by her art dealer, but what's your narrative? What's the blurb behind your painting? She says, I just like painting. I thought that was clever, because there's enough. This is where Needham is so clever. She just pulls it down to the subtle, not overstating anything. You don't end up in this story hating or loving, the male artist who seems to be always the person drawn with this great ego. But Needham is clever in that she allows us hang on to the sort of admire the fact that he does develop out both as a person and a painter in ways that I can't tell you. But and so does Frances, and that's one of the funniest, the best ending. And getting a novel this short to end this well, with where Frances ends up with her ideas of, well, I don't, what she likes painting and why she likes painting it, is just, it's glorious, so clever. Really nice characters, small. The poetics, her language is absolutely glorious. And I think I'd read the book and gobbled this book up. And at the end, I sort of looked up and said, who is this Kylie Needham? Like I'm thick as two short planks, and said, what, already a screenwriter, in her own right, with her awards. And as a debut novel, this is absolutely startling. But the fact of her being married to Ben Quilty, artist, is, that this is imbued with both the language, the research, and the feel of the scene. So she really knows what she's doing. But had I not known that, I would have still been going, this person knows art, knows what this is about. It's a stunner. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And definitely recommend that for your book club chats and stuff like that. Stunning. See you next time.